This video is designed to help with a couple things. As I've been looking at your work, I've been noticing a couple errors, and I want to help correct some things. So I'm going to talk about simplifying, and I'm going to talk about something called cross-simplifying. I've already talked to some of you about this. It's do you want to multiply the problem and do simplifying after, or do you want to do simplifying before and then multiply the problem? That's the difference. Either way is fine. These are really, really, really important skills. Okay? You always want to get things in the simplest terms. All right? I find that sometimes I'm looking at your work and you have the correct answer. Maybe it's the correct fraction, but you didn't simplify it. You didn't put it in the simplest terms. So you just missed that last little step. So we always have to think, how can we do that? Okay? So let's do simplifying after we do the problem. So we get it into a fraction times a fraction. So 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 7 is 21. Now I'm looking at 12 over 21. Now, if they were both even, I know I could cut it in half, but they're not even. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the smaller number. I'm going to take 12, and I'm going to do all the things that go into 12. All the factors. It's 1 and 12, it's 2 and 6, and it's 3 and 4. So I've taken the smaller number, which is 12. I got all my factors. Now I can ask myself, does 12 go into 21? No. Does 6 go into 21? No. Does 4 go into 21? No. Does 3 go into 21? Yes. So then I take 3, divide each one by 3, and I get 12 divided by 3 is 4, 21 divided by 3 is 7. So I get my answer of 4/7. I simplified it after I did the problem. So you do the problem and then you get your answer, but then you always have to see, can I simplify it? Now, you might want to simplify it, cross-simplifying it, before you do the problem. Here you have a top and a bottom and you just simplify. This way, basically, 2/3 times 6/7 is the same as 2 times 6 and 3 times 7. So it's the same thing. So I can do something like that, switch those around, it's not going to change. I'm still going to get 12 over 21, which is what I got here. But, so I could simplify this way now. You see it easier when you do that. But what if I took it back to what it was? Okay? And I get rid of this. Now I'm back. So what it means, cross-simplifying, I could either simplify these two things, I could simplify these two things, or this top with this bottom, or this top with this bottom. Okay? It gets kind of confusing when I do all those little arrows. So, I'm going to rewrite this, and I'm going to cross-simplify. So I have 2/3 times 6/7. 2 and 3 can't be simplified. 6/7 can't be simplified. 2 and 7 can't be simplified. 6 and 3, they can be. I know 3 goes into each of those. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay? I still have the same fractions, I just simplified it. Now I'm going to go across. 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 7 is 7. I showed my work, what I did to reduce the top and the bottom, and then I multiplied across, and I got 4/7, which is the same as here. So you might find it easier to just multiply across and then simplify it. Or you could look at a problem before you do it, cross-simplify it, and then multiply across, and then you don't have to simplify it after. Okay? Simplifying. always look, can this number be put into more simple terms? This is really important, okay? And you can either cross simplify or at the end simplify it. But always think, am I in my simplest form? Is this number in its simplest form? Okay? All right, let's go to something else I've seen. When you're multiplying fractions, a mixed times a mixed, you can't multiply mixed numbers. If I'm doing either multiplying or dividing of fractions, I want to get it not into a whole number, not into a mixed number. I want a fraction times a fraction, or a fraction divided by a fraction. It can be an improper fraction or a proper fraction, but it has to be a fraction. It can't be a mixed number. I don't want anything to do with whole numbers. I have a whole number here and a whole number here. I don't want that. So my very first thing to do is to change these to be just fractions. They're going to be improper, but they have to be fractions. Get them into fraction form. This is important. Okay? So 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 halves. And 9 halves is the same as 4 and 1 half, but it's now a fraction. Okay? And this one, 6 times 2 is 12, plus 5 is 17. 17 sixths. Okay? So now I have fraction times a fraction. They're both improper, but that's okay. They're both fractions. There's no whole numbers. There's no mixed. Okay? Now I just go across. Equals. So I could think about over here. I like to cross simplify. I like to get it into the smallest terms because then my multiplication isn't so big. Instead of going across and simplifying after, I try and do it before. So 9 and 2, they can't be simplified. 17 and 6 can't be simplified. Now I go crossways. 9 and 6, I know that 3 goes into each of those. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So my new number there is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. My new number there is 2. Awesome. 2 and 17 can't be simplified. Now, everything is in its simplest form. So then when I do it across, I don't have to worry about simplifying it afterwards. So 3 times 17, 51. I don't care if you use a calculator for that, or if you come over here and do something like that, or if you know it in your head, as long as it's the right answer. Okay? 51. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, 51 fourths. All right, I can't simplify this at all. It's already in its simplest terms. So I've solved it. 51 4. But I never, when I have an improper, in the end, I want it to be a mixed number. You wouldn't just have an answer like this. No, you gotta put it in a form that says, okay, I know that I have some whole numbers within this, okay? And the way I do it, this line right here. So now I want to take my improper fraction to a mixed number. This will be my answer. Couple different ways. I could say how many 4s go into 51, figure that out, and then how many is left over. Or what I like to do is this is a divided by, it's 51, and then here's my little trick. I say the top one, 51 divided by 4. I start at the top and go down. 51 divided by 4. And then if I'm going to write it, I write my 51 first. 51 divided by 4. Okay? I always say divided by when I do that symbol because it just helps me think about it. Divided by. Now I just do this problem. 4 goes into 5 one time. I subtract those out, I get 1. Now I bring down my 1. 4 goes into 11 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract that out, I'm left with 3. Now, there's no more numbers to bring down. This is my remainder. here's what I want you to do. This is my whole numbers, okay? So I know I have 12 there, and then this is my remainder, which goes on top, 3, and then whatever I start with as a denominator, which was 4 here, I keep as a denominator. So my answer is 12 3/4. So the whole number, the remainder goes up top, and what you divided it by, or the divisor, goes here. And I know that's 4 because I started with a 4, and you always have the same denominator, okay? So these are just some really important things. Simplifying it, and you can do it 2 different ways. I'm okay with whatever way. This way I prefer because it gets it into its simplest form first, and then I just multiply across. When you're doing multiplication or division by fractions, always get it into fraction form first. Let me show you one other thing with the dividing. You might not be to dividing yet, but say you're dividing it by a whole number, or you have 2 1/4 divided by 5 equals, okay? Now, we can't keep that divided. We have to do the keep, change. But before we do that, before we even think of that, I want a fraction and a fraction. So get it into its fraction form, okay? So 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 9/4 divided by, and the way I get this into a fraction form, I just put a 1 under it. So that's 5 1s equal, okay? Now, I'm going to keep, change. Keep this, change that. Now, I'm here, so then I can come over here and say, all right, can I simplify these? Can I cross simplify it? Nope. Then I just go across. 9 and 4 times 5 is 20. 9/20 is my answer. Is it an improper fraction? Nope. It's a good fraction. Can't be simplified. It's in its simplest terms. If this number was bigger, it'd be improper, and then I would have to go and do this divided, okay? But if it's smaller on top, it works, okay? It's kind of like if this is a shelf and I have something big on the bottom, it's going to hold anything smaller than it on top. But if I have this on the bottom and I have this on top, that 50, it's going to tip over. So that tells me I need to figure out something to get it so it's in a fraction where it's just the smaller one is on top, and then I'd probably have a number over here because it's a mixed. Okay? All right. So getting things to be a fraction, and then simplifying it, and then how do you change it back into a mixed number if you need to? Okay? Just a few things that I've noticed in your work. Need to keep in mind these things. You can watch this video a couple times, take notes on this, think about it, keep it in your notebook, and use it to help you as you solve these problems.